Well, hello. We have some exciting news to share. So, we have an upcoming retreat in September 11th to 15th. Exciting news is that we sold out our room blocks. You might think, well, bummer. Okay. But we were able to check with the retreat because we know, or with the resort, we know that there's a few of you out there wanting to join us. And if you're contemplating it or want to know more, we talked with the resort and they said we could add a couple rooms based on the availability. So we need you to reach out as soon as possible so you can get all the logistics in place because it's going to be an amazing time and transformation is ahead. So, yeah.
5 days of healing in a jungle on the lush shores of Chinalani Eco Resort out of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Arrival by boat only. We'll have all the instructions for you.
Very soon.
We're only going to add about 4 spaces. We want to keep the group small. There's going to be plenty of time for you. We're not going to have a packed agenda. Everything on the agenda is optional. If you decide you do not want to come to one of our sessions, it's totally up to you. This is about you and about what you need. And so for those of you who've been undecided, we'd like you to reach out to us at info@vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. We'll provide that link in our show notes for you. And that's how you can get a space to join us. You can also visit our website at www.vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. And you'll see the rooms are sold out. But again, just contact us through the contact page there and we'll be happy to take care of you.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for 2026. We'll have an announcement coming up in a few months, a couple of months now. Time is flying by. And I want to say thank you to everybody for your signing up. Our expectations are kind of blown away. We wanted to sell this out. It's our first retreat as Vital Edge Wellness Coaching, and we're just super excited and cannot believe the response we've had. So
very excited.
Thank you.
Very excited to hold this space for you and come take care of yourself. We'll be there to join you.
See you then. Bye.
Rooted in resilience, inspired by nature, powered by movement. The podcasts where healing meets empowerment. Let's rise and thrive together. And now, here are your hosts, Scott and Melissa.
Welcome back to Rise and Thrive, a podcast by Vital Edge Wellness Coaching. I'm here with my co-host, Melissa Hedstrom, and I'm Scott Sadler. Super excited today because I got an old friend who's also an old friend on our podcast. Our guest today is Dean Craig, and we'll get to him in a minute. But first, Melissa's going to kick us off as usual. She's got her minute timer. So we'll do a 2-minute meditation that'll supposed to be a minute.
It's supposed to be a minute. Those all know that I tried. Okay. So please sit back and you're comfortable. If you are seated, if you are driving a vehicle or doing anything like that, you can keep your eyes open. So big sigh with me when you're ready. And let it out. I'll give each of us this quiet moment to transition to be here, to be a little more present. Your eyes closed or open. I want you to soften your eyes. Relax the muscles behind the eyes. Relax your jaw and your tongue. Let that guide the next breath. The exhale, dropping you in that sacred space, that quiet space. Be quiet for a few moments and let you just follow that exhale into your seat. Get right here and nowhere else. Once again, soften your eyes, relax your jaw and your tongue. cleansing sigh in through the nose, out through the mouth. That you are present and here. Excited to share with you this time. Welcome to open your eyes if they are closed.
I always love that. Coming from hurried, scurried, and worried into this slow down. What a great way to start today. And welcoming our guest Dean, who probably is also hurried, scurried. I don't know about worried, but this is a man
Never
on the
worry.
go.
Never worry.
Never worry.
Panic, maybe, but not worry.
Panic is not worry. I want to introduce Dean. Dean is a good friend. We go back to the 90s, probably early 90s. Met through the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce, where Dean was the manager of Personnel Source. And I had a labor-intensive company and often needed Dean's services. And we served on several boards together and did speaking panels together on employment issues and on helping people understand how to get a job, keep a job. And really had a lot of fun working with folks coming out of the prison system and back in society, helping them understand simple things like resume building and what to wear to an interview. And the more Dean and I saw each other in professional setting, the more we're like, we should get together. And so we did. We like to. We have a lot of things in common: nature and family, and we don't mind a whiskey occasionally and talk shop. And we've been friends for decades now. Dean is a native Oregonian. He has 5 children and 10 grandchildren. He told us at the beginning of before the show and the pre-show that he doesn't even know his grandkids' names. We're
No,
sincerely.
I know my grandkids. It's my own kids. I don't know
No,
their
I
names.
get it. Oh, I'm sorry, I get that wrong. I get that backwards. Yeah,
Priorities, right?
you're a little
Priorities.
further away from the kids than you are from the grandkids. That's right. Dean started a family at a very young age. He'll touch on that story. Married to his wife Susan for 34 years, and I'm sure he'll talk about that story as well, his marriage and his life there. And I just want to say thank you so much, Dean. We love talking with you. I know Melissa and you have met over the last year, and both of you called me and said, "This is the most amazing person." So you're in a good group for people who really know you and care about you. And thank you for being here today and being on our show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate both of you, and I'm excited for this conversation. I've been listening to your podcast, and I enjoy the way you are on it because you're just real. And to me, that there's a lot of value in that.
Good. Yeah, we're underproduced.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. We made a commitment that we are not going to overproduce. Although I had some ideas the other day of integrating some music here, and I'm like, no, complications. Let's just keep with what you're doing. So
Well, we already had that technology conversation pre-show.
yes, we did. Yeah, right. A PDF is fillable, quite easy. We'll get there. Well, today's theme is groundedness, and I'm watching Dean on Facebook fly fishing and standing in the river, and I'm thinking about our podcast coming up, and I'm like, it took Dean a long time to get to the point where he would take time to go do these things, even though he had a craving for these things, because I remember our conversations, and now he's doing these things, and I know. I get goosebumps. I know a lot about Dean's story, and I'm feeling emotional. And I know how hard it was for you to get rooted to find your own journey amidst the chaos and the life happenings that were going on in your life from a very young age. And it's a story everyone needs to hear. And I'm going to let Dean kind of lean in and talk about, the seasons of your life, where you were in early life, midlife, and now you're sort of young, older life.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was very smooth. Gosh, I often, when I get an opportunity to share my story, I like to start with a couple of things. And the beginning is we don't know what tomorrow holds. We just don't. And as I kind of reflect over my 61 years, pushing 62, I that has held true in every step of the way. No matter how well we plan, no matter how well we think we're on the pathway that we're going to end up somewhere, wherever that is, there are things that come up that change that. So as a young upstart, I remember my dad talking about where my dad was a blue collar guy, he's a truck driver forever. And higher education was never a thought for him. He left home at 14 years old, jumped on a Norwegian fishing vessel, ended up in China 6 months later. Well, he turned 15 at sea and then was in the army. So he got his GED while in the army. And so as I'm going through school, I thought, "Oh, man, that's hard, but I respect his work so much and his dedication to his work so much that became a really important element for me to really appreciate the value of work." And so I started working at a very young age. I started working when I was 9 years old, literally sorting broccoli plants with my mom in a local farmer outside of Nigel in their fields. So if you don't know, when you pull up a bunch of baby broccoli plants, if the roots are straight, they go into production for a crop. If they're J-rooted, as it's called, they're crooked, they go into what you and I buy to plant in our gardens at home. I know. I'm here to educate.
With Dean.
Yeah.
So at 9 years old, I was doing that with my mom, and I grew to really enjoy it. So I kept working into high school. I went to Silverton High School, grew up out in Monitor. And my sophomore year of high school, I was on the school bus, and there was this new girl. I didn't see her before, and she didn't know me. So I thought, I've got to go meet her. So I went over and met her. And 2 years later, we were married and parents. I was 17, she was 15 when our son was born. We each turned the next year older within a month or so. um, and gosh, 5 children, 34 years later, she passed away. Still today, it's been 10 years, I can't talk about it without becoming a little emotional. And I think, I don't know, well, yeah, I do know why. Because when we love and that is taken away for whatever reason, it hurts. And that hurt never goes away, no matter how hard you want it to, no matter deeply you want to be completely healed. For me personally, I can only speak for me. I don't know that it ever will go away. And I've grown to become okay with that. And that I think is part of the groundedness that I've put into my own life. And honestly, I learned a lot of that from you, Scott. I mean, literally watching you, and I don't share this enough with you, but you've taught me more than I will admit outside of this safe space where everybody in the world's going to hear. You taught me that it's okay to be just real and who you are, and to be comfortable in your own skin, and to ground yourself, especially when you maybe don't think you need it. And I've slowly learned to do that. I'm still working on it. I've got a long ways to go, but I'm very proud of, well, my whole life, honestly. I no, not every moment. There have been some moments I'm not overly proud of, but I'm proud of what has come from those, because even those moments that I'm not proud of, some learning happened. And I think for me personally, that if I don't learn something every single day, I'm wasting that day. I don't know if I have to accomplish anything other than learning, but I have to learn something every single day. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that. Sometimes it's just about a friend of mine that is doing something remarkable that I didn't know about to me, and I'm going to learn something from that friend. Probably sounds like I'm going off in the weeds a bit, and I am, but to me, that's all part of being grounded in my life. So grounded means something different to a lot of different people. Sometimes it means being barefoot and having your feet in the dirt. And I like to do that too. Sometimes it means having a conversation with somebody and there's nothing else, all that chaos is happening, but you're not even aware of the chaos around you that's happening because that conversation is that moment. And those are super precious moments to me. So the times, Scott, that you and I have been able to sit and have a conversation, and Melissa, you and I as well, those moments are really precious to sit and talk with somebody and be present with them, hear them, and be heard by them. It's just, gosh, it's a big thing for me, and it took me a long time to figure that out.
But Dean, a question comes up for me, and of course, I've experienced similar situations in my life as a young, testosterone-filled man that grew up in the country, and you got something to prove at that age. At what point did you recognize that you needed grounding and you're okay being your authentic self versus putting out that image that you wanted the world to see? You remember any times where that was or that was a moment?
There wasn't a single profound moment to me. I believe that there were a collection of many moments. And I looked back and went, holy cow, huh?
Me too.
So there probably was an aha. I can't tell you when or where that happened, but I do know that I still to this day reflect back over many moments in my life that I think have been shaping moments or carving moments, maybe is a better way of putting it even, right? That has helped me recognize a couple of things. One, I don't like, I don't mean to sound critical, but I don't like fake people. I don't like to be around fake people. And I absolutely don't ever want to be a hypocrite. So I can't be a fake person if I don't like if I'm going to call them out, right? I just can't be. And that translates to me to becoming really transparent. And so that's where I am and how that evolved. I think just over time, water over rocks, right?
Yeah. No, it just makes sense for hearing both you talk that it's really not one maybe pointed one moment that happened, but a dissolving over time where you wake up one day and you're not worried about what other people think as much, and you're feeling that more genuine calling and purpose in your life. So I'm seeing that just as you guys share, that's what's coming to mind.
I remember many years ago, I was in a board meeting. I'm not going to tell you where, but I, I, I'm not a super smart guy, right? I think I'm pretty simple. And so when you've got a bunch of other people that are really smart and they're talking way over me, I get really frustrated. So they were using language and acronyms and terminology that was really prescribed stuff that I didn't understand. And I said, hey, time out. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And yet you're going to ask me to vote on something that I clearly don't understand. And that was actually somewhat profound in that everybody in that room sat back and went, wow, we are really being pretentious here and being hoity-toity about our terminologies that never happen outside of this room. And they were right. And almost every person in that room at the end of that meeting thanked me. So I think that I bring that up because I think at that moment I got permission to speak my mind more often.
Feel okay.
And
Not to feel like you
to be
had to hide.
safe, I guess is the
Yeah.
right word, right? To doing so. And it just built over time. Where now I got to be careful.
Now you got a reputation.
Right. It's true.
It's interesting to think about what would have happened if the opposite reaction had occurred.
Yeah. I mean, I have all kinds of ideas, but I'm not going to say what they are because the language would be awful.
But I just think in general, not about that specific event, but just overall, we just go into hiding, right? That lack of genuine because our fear of not being enough or not knowing enough. And so we just get quiet and try to pretend like we do, and that to me kills the soul over time.
Absolutely. Nobody likes rejection, right? And that's what we feel at that moment.
So we hide and to have that confidence. And I think that's with time and age and experience to be able to be like, hey, I don't know this. I'm okay with it. And I'm going to say it and to not feel shame or embarrassed of it. I think that is an action of grounding, right? You're able to ground in that moment and be like, hey, I'm okay in this body and in this awareness of my brain, and I'm going to be open about it.
Yeah. It's really freeing.
She just said it. Yeah.
Did you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super freeing.
Right? I knew it was coming.
Love it.
It's freeing because
Well, it's freeing on so many levels, and I mean, we could talk about this minor topic for hours. I feel like we say that every podcast.
Yes, we do.
Because it's such an expansive. This is a podcast topic about grounding, but the shifts that occur because you're a grounded person lead to more shifts that make more grounding. Right? I mentioned in a previous episode about this massive betrayal that I'll talk about someday. If I hadn't had the grounding that I had going through that, I would have misbehaved or I would have gone off the rails. I would have done something that was detrimental ultimately to me. It wouldn't have had any effect on anybody else, really. And so I think, well, there is some satisfaction to think about something.
Well, so we talked a little bit about this before the episode started, and sometimes our reactions to life things, whether it be we got ourselves embarrassed or a loved one passed, our reactions, immediate reactions, aren't always very positive, right? So, like I mentioned in my case, when my wife died, I was drunk for 6 months and rarely sober. And most people didn't know that, except for my children, who rattled my cage and said, "You need to knock your stuff off, Pops." And I was thankful. Still to this day, I'm very, very thankful that they called me out on it, which takes guts and courage to do. Sometimes, though, we'll get there. We don't have the tribe that will call us out on it. And then we spiral. And that could be hard to come back from. So how does that mean we're grounded? Well, to me, it means that they loved us enough. And I don't think you can be loved very deeply without being a grounded individual. I think you have to be open. I think you have to show a lot of your inner self to people to really, truly be loved. And yeah, they're my children. They're supposed to love me. Somewhere it says that on the birth certificate, I think.
For sure.
But it was a big, big thing for me personally, and it remains 10 years later to be a very big thing that they, first of all, loved me enough, but secondly, knew that they could approach me and tell me to knock it off.
So Scott just made a comment that I think is very important to repeat.
Well, I think that your kids learned that from you, and you got your own lesson because you raised them to speak their mind and step up in the appropriate times for others and learn how to love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
You should thank yourself. You did it.
It's like, if you think about like, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We don't know. And it's like the actions that you took in raising the children with your wife and doing everything that you did brought them to the point that, we know that that was part of your path coming up. They were prepared to do what they needed to do for you.
That's a great point. Thank you. And I cannot take credit for guiding them that way. I think that was mostly their mother. Because honestly, when you have 5 kids, you work a lot just to cover their food bill because they eat, right? And we made the decision when we have 4 boys, 1 girl. The daughter is the middle child. When she was born, we made the conscious decision for Susan to stay home and raise kids because we didn't, one, financially, right? It didn't really pencil for her to work. But 2, we didn't necessarily like what they were picking up at daycare, right? So we wanted to be the influence on their lives. And she was the influence on their lives. Yeah, probably me some, at least the hard work part, because they saw me leave and rarely saw me come home because they were in bed by the time I got home.
So how much of I keep coming back to this in my mind. It keeps coming up for me, so I'm just going to ask it. But I'm wondering how much of your love of nature, your groundedness in that way, started with your 9-year-old self, hands in the dirt in the field.
Oh, I think it started even before that.
Okay.
I think it started. My dad. We camped a lot when I was a kid. My mom was was raised in Oklahoma for a bit, and my uncle Bill was really probably who gave me the love of outdoors even more so than my mom or my dad. My uncle, when he was 12 years old, fashioned a bow and arrow out of a willow tree and shot and harvested his first deer
Good. Wow.
with a handmade bow that he made, right? And at one time held the state record for an elk, archery elk, and hunted and fished and everywhere and taught me the love of that. My dad wasn't a big fisherman. He'd go out and cast out and didn't really care what happened after that. But my
I have those
uncle,
days.
or I have too, and I still
Yeah.
do sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But my uncle fly fished and tied his own flies. And early on, I was just enthralled with all of that. And then, kids and stuff, and I didn't touch a fly rod until about 7 or 8 years ago. Well, that's not true. I was talking about wanting to become a fly fisher, learn to fly fish again. And Susan forced me by buying me a gift card to go buy a rod that I was eyeballing that I wouldn't spend the money on myself. So I started fly fishing again, and now all 4 of my boys fly fish, and I've turned some other friends into fly fishermen. And just last weekend, I was on the Metolius River with Susan's brother, my brother-in-law. We haven't spent time together in 10 years, so that was fantastic. And we stood in the middle of the river, freezing our backsides off and not catching any fish, but had a great time doing it.
As I mentioned earlier, I was super jealous looking at photos. So, yeah.
I go right to thinking about fly fishing because I just visualize, because I wouldn't be after the skill of actually catching the fish, but the the meditative quality that,
Yeah.
and I go back to the topic today being grounding, and I'm thinking that's what I see when I see those videos or pictures of people fly fishing. I'm just enthralled. They're just this rhythm
Yeah.
and water and everything else. So that's where I go to think about.
You're not wrong. I mean, that is huge part of it for me. I didn't even get a bite last weekend on the river, and I don't care. It wasn't about catching a fish. It was about, I mean, that's just a bonus. But being there in that nature, hearing bald eagles screech in the background and not hearing vehicle, there's no noise pollution to speak of, man-made noise pollution to speak of, but there's nature everywhere. And it's phenomenal.
It's so puts you in the moment. You can't. It's hard to be anywhere else, especially when you have no cell signal in the middle of a river.
Yeah.
And that is my ultimate. Nature's my ultimate grounding, and I can even take myself there in my imagination now and feel it. Right.
Well, and I love talking about these, and I want to share with our audience that it's like, it's easy to think, oh, yeah, that sounds so good. It sounds so wonderful. I always like to throw in the science of it as we're learning more and more what's happening physiological level, like just being around a tree and what it can do. And so I just want to encourage people, just you get outside, that's all, and it starts to change you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to go necessarily know how to fish or know how to do this or that, and so I just think of that. I hear you guys describing it and I feel your inner states changing from memory, from being there. And that's what it's about, is like, yeah, we've got to support these bodies, and that's one of the ways.
Well, and to your point, Melissa, I haven't shared this yet, but I've remarried. And Jody, my wife now, is very in line with what you just said. We live out in some acreage east of town, an hour or so. And she loves nothing more than to walking out to any one of our trees and just putting her hands on it, and just holding her hands there for 10, 15, sometimes 30 minutes. Just absorbing the energy or sharing her energy, sometimes it is. But in fact, we had her favorite tree, the ice storms from a few years ago. She had 2 favorite trees, both birch trees, and it just decimated them. And they're not alive anymore, but she still goes out. This is kooky, but she talks to them.
I don't think
She
that's good enough.
You're on the right podcast.
You're on the right-
Kookie's okay here. I like it. And she still, she wishes they were still alive. We will plant new ones, and we will repurpose the wood from those for something artistic in the house. Don't know what that's going to be yet. She needs to tell me what she wants.
Well, I'm a certified silver therapist, so I do uh, take people out for forest bathing and have them experience exactly what you're talking about. And it is fascinating. I took a group of realtors out a few years ago and Minto Park. We stayed right in town. We went to Minto Park. We sat in a little grove and watching them come out, talking about business and carrying their stuff. And we also get out there and we sit down and then watching them just float, leaving after a couple of hours. And to this day, many of them still go out in their own yards or they're in the park nearby and they practice the things we practice and they feel better. They're more grounded. They're less stressed. They're more even keeled. And until you experience it, you don't experience it.
Right.
It's easy to blow off as kooky, but that's why people like to hike. I used to be a mountaineer. I used to love being up on the glacier and being in that environment. It just changes your brain. It changes how you see the rest of the world when you come back to normal,
Yeah.
normal life.
I was going to say, I did the same thing in just a recent retreat. It's took everybody in an oak grove and had them pick a tree, just watch where their eye went, and then just unite with a friend and lay their back against it. And it was a definite difference. I mean, I even got tearful. I'm leading the retreat and I just let myself be. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing to watch the shift in people.
I also want to make sure that you were just alluding to that people know they don't have to go 3 hours out in the mountains, right? They can go in the neighborhood. They can go in the neighborhood park, their own backyard. Nature is everywhere. We've got to decide to find it wherever we are.
Yeah, in the big cities, uh, in this certain silver therapy course, they teach you how to pick particular plants for your apartment to
Nice, yeah.
to bring it in. It's not the ideal going out into nature, but you can bring nature to you too. So I found that part of it. I had never considered that because we live in the greatest part of the world. So I hadn't considered that, but that's also an option. So
Yeah, absolutely.
so Dean, what do you? How do you mindfully incorporate groundedness? I'm asking it in that way intentionally because the hurried, scurried, and worried we talked about at the beginning, where you're like, got to go to work, I got these projects.
Yeah.
Dean has a couple of businesses, he's got a big family. How do you intentionally bring groundedness into that process?
It's a great question. I do a couple of things. One is I actually schedule it. If I've got a particularly busy day, I will block it. It might only be 10, 15 minutes. But excuse me, I schedule a time to go walk outside, excuse myself from whatever it is that's got in my head, right? To try and leave it wherever I was, whether it's in my office or at home, my shop or wherever, traffic even. I've literally pulled over in traffic if it's gotten to me and stood on a sidewalk. I'd even taken my shoes off because I just needed that moment to shuck whatever it is that's weighing on me. And I'll do the same thing here. I'll just walk out of my office and say, I'll be back in 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'll sometimes even schedule a 45-minute time because I need it. And how do I do it? Other than scheduling it and being very purposeful with it, it's hard, right? So, but sometimes it's just an opportunity. You're going to a meeting, you schedule yourself 15 minutes ahead, you get there early, and you walk around the block. Or you just go stand near a tree. Any number of little things. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 5 minutes. And I guarantee you will feel better.
Well, and I want to point out something you said, very intentional, is that you schedule it and then you put aside what was going on in your head, because that's the intention. People can go out and be in nature, but still not be there.
Absolutely true.
I love what you're saying is like you're intentionally going out there, putting your feet on the ground to kind of shock the system, say, no, you're here. You're not there. You're here. And it takes that intention, and that could be anywhere. It could be on your back porch or.
And when I do that, for me personally, I have to leave my phone out in the office when I have to go out and get that moment. If I have my phone with me, I'm going to look at it. It's going to keep my attention.
Good one. That was a good one because many people won't take their phone out and go out and they're scrolling for that 15 minutes and they're back in and they didn't get that reboot.
I've been guilty. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Any other thoughts about for our audience who maybe don't have any experience in grounding? Maybe this is the first time they're actually considering slowing down, what you might help them understand as a first timer?
Well, two things actually. Don't beat yourself up when you don't do it the way you think you're supposed to, because I don't know if there's rules, right? I think we make our own rules about what that means and feels like. Secondly, watch for somebody you know who you think is particularly grounded and spend some time with them. That's what's happened for me with you, Scott.
Thank you.
Truly. I mean, I had never, honestly, until you told me, I'd never thought of myself as a grounded person. I've never thought of myself as a person who lives in gratitude. None of those things were ever something I thought, never. No, not until you pointed out to me not all that long ago, actually.
This guy makes everybody feel grounded in a room. He's the guy that makes he's always in gratitude. He's always thanking people. He's always looking for opportunities to help others. So you don't see that in yourself, or you didn't, but I certainly did. So
Thank
this is
you.
great.
That means a lot.
I love it because that moment you guys connected on that, you were open to receive that and to start to become aware of it and let it flourish. And I love that tip is to connect with others because we're not alone in this. And so when you can that is practicing it, you can absorb that frequency just like we can from a tree.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, because I don't remember ever pushing you or selling you on it.
Not at all. Well, and it's interesting too, because what it did, once I started actually kind of processing it, I look back through my life and there have been times when that has been right in front of me and I didn't know it, right? That I don't want to say ability because I don't think it's an ability. I think it's something everybody can do. A trait, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway,
Awareness.
Awareness. Okay, awareness. Yeah. I was walking into a meeting, gosh, close to 20 years ago, right downtown Salem. And the host of the meeting, or the coordinator, I should say, of the meeting, was standing by the room, and I was running a couple minutes late. And when I walked up, I said, "Sorry, I'm late." I put my hand on her shoulder, and she turned around, and she gave me a hug, and she goes, "Now I know everything's going to be okay." I knew about that moment, but I wasn't consciously aware of that moment until you pointed some things out to me that made me go, "Holy crap. I guess I have an impact sometimes." We don't realize it a lot of times. And every one of us, everybody listening to this episode has an impact on others.
Positively or negatively.
Exactly.
And so that's where the intention of being intentionally who you want to be and authentically who you want to be comes into play. And that's where you have a choice. And through coaching and through groundedness and through mindfulness and through nutrition and body movement and taking care of your body, hence Vital Edge Wellness Coaching.
Yes.
You can make those choices to align with your joy, as Dean talked about at the very beginning, right?
Well, I'll also add, if you don't feel like you're authentic and you feel like you're faking it, so what? Fake it for a little while. It'll become part of you if you do it long enough. And it'll become real for you if you choose for it.
Yeah. That's a good insight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and sometimes you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that is the trigger that makes you go, I need to make some changes, right?
Mhm.
Or a health issue, or death in the family, loss of a loved one. So we never know when these trigger events are going to come. But when they do, you can lean into groundedness to discover what the new pathway looks like. I know I've done that over and over again and reinventing myself, and that's important.
I don't think we're ever fully done,
No.
personally.
I know I'm half-baked. I've been half-baked my whole life.
Me too.
Not in the Oregon legalized marijuana kind of way.
Yeah, no. Well, in the past.
Well, there might have been a season there.
Right.
The restaurant business. So. But, Dean, thank you so much. I want to be sure that we spend a little time here talking about your entrepreneur focus. I know that you I can't keep up, but you have your fingers in a lot of things. Can you tell our audience a little bit about Dean Craig Enterprises?
Well, there's a few things going on, and none of them are ginormous or overly exciting to that many people. I don't think yet. I'm hoping they will be. I am in the process of building a speakers bureau. There is a speakers bureau in town that just launched 2 weeks ago. I just learned this 2 weeks ago when it launched, and that's okay. I believe the competition is healthy, and I believe that I know the guy that launched it, and I look forward to launching mine and then collaborating with him. My goal is to bring the audience and the speaker, trainer, and facilitator together in a virtual platform so that they can hire one another to do, or the audience can hire the speaker to do whatever they need to be done. I want to bring that together. I want to help people do that. I get a call. So I work for Willamette Workforce Partnership with the Workforce Board for Lynn, Marion, Polk, and the Amarillo counties. That's my day job. I don't think a week goes by that we don't get a call looking for somebody to speak, teach, or facilitate. And we hire a lot of all of those things for different groups that we work closely with. So there's a definite need for it. I'm excited to be getting ready to deliver that. The name of the business is Grapevine. Catchy.
I like it.
And it's interesting because one of my, a hobby has turned into a cottage business. I love working with wood, back to our groundedness, right?
All right. Absolutely.
It is so, I don't know what the word grounding and cleansing, I think, is a good word for me. When I am in my shop, taking a raw piece of wood, that tree, however it's no longer living, whether life was taken or it died of natural causes or a disaster, whatever it is, but taking that piece of wood and turning it into something that will live on in somebody's home or heart or pocket or whatever it is, right? I make pens and bowls. My brother and I, it's Craig Creations. We're proud of it. We're excited, and we're very, very small. Mostly we do it for friends and family and a few customers that we have. But it's pretty exciting.
I hope your business blows up from our podcast. I hope you're we're about 4 of our listeners.
So then if that's the case, when I listen to this episode, will there actually only be 3? Because I'm listening to myself.
Right. That's right. We're trending in the wrong direction. And Dean, thank you so much for taking the last 40 minutes of your time to spend with us. I know how valuable your time is and how busy you are and spreading gratitude all over. And we appreciate coming and spending some time with us today. So we'll have you back. We have plans to have a panel interview, and I think Dean would be great for that panel. And so we'll talk more about that. And let's get together soon.
Love it. Thank you both for having me. Thank you for this conversation. And just so you know, if either one of you ever call and ask me, you know the answer. I'll always say yes.
All right. Appreciate that.
Appreciate you both very much.
All right. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon. And thanks to our listeners and our viewers if you're watching. And we hope to see you again soon here on Rise and Thrive.
Till then.
Take care of yourself and be sure to take care of others. We'll talk soon. Bye now.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Rise and Thrive. If you're ready for a deeper reset, join us for our upcoming wellness retreat in Mexico, September 11th to 15th. It's the perfect opportunity to recharge through movement, mindfulness, and connection. Visit vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com to learn more. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little more rise and thrive in their life. Follow us on your favorite platform to stay inspired. And until next time, keep rising and keep thriving.